Hello and welcome to the best hobby in the world, board games. You are listening to two night owls doing episode 2 of the Board States. So I am your host who's the best in the West, and across from me, I've got the beast from the East, Jazz. How's it going?
What's going on, Reg? How you been?
Doing all right. Our main topic today, for all of you lovely listeners, is we are going to be talking about games that are worth the hype or not. Do you want to tell them what our thought process was for this?
That we wanted to get beat up by our listeners.
Yeah.
So
get sent hate mail at boardgamepod at what is it? boardstatespod at gmail.com.
Yeah. So
right.
if you just want to give us some hate or some love, boardstatespod at gmail.com. But again, Reggie's talking about the games that are worth the hype or not. The idea for this topic is we're going to be discussing games that have a 7.5 rating or better on BGG. Again, we know that comes with a grain of salt depending on how people are ranking them. But again, we just got to go by what we know. And BGG is the Biblia of all board game things, right? So it has to have a 7.5 rating or higher, and we also limited ourselves to games that were we said 2018 or newer, so fairly new games in the hobby. And then we're going to talk about specifically 2 games that we think are all the hype. So the games that have been getting the hype, they've maybe gotten awards, they may have been talked about on, Dice Tower, you name it, all the big YouTube channels. And we think that they are deserving.
Yeah, we've played it. Yeah,
yes,
we've played it.
We've had to have played
it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then secondly, when we talk about the Not, it's going to be a game that we think is getting a lot of buzz. It's gotten a lot of buzz, and maybe for us, it just didn't sit well. So I have a feeling that I'm going to get some hate on my Not choice.
I'm so intrigued
hate.
what it's going to be. I'm so intrigued. We are going to do it kind of like a sandwich. So we'll do one that we believe is worth the hype for our money, one the Not in the middle, and the second worth at it. But before we get into all that, as always, thank you for making it to our second episode here. We're going to do our mini games segment, which I like to call State of Mind, where I will be doing some board game trivia, typically with my boy Jazz, who he has admittedly said he's terrible at these, but here's what the best thing about it is. It's all about you, the listeners. You guys get to listen here and get to play along. I will always make sure that you can make a guess. There's going to be a lot of guessing type games here. And so today's trivia is called the Hotness Hot Seat, going in line with the main topic today. So what I'm going to do is I have 5 games that are on the hotness right now. I'm going to tell you the name of the game, and I'm going to ask you one thing about it according to BGG. It could be something to do with the publisher or the designer or a number that's on there. And I'll give you like a range if need be. Okay, so we're going to start with Jamie Stagmeyer's open world game called Vantage, which is up there right now, getting a lot of hype on the hotness at this moment. And your question, listeners and Jazz, is to answer, how many ratings do you think it has? How many people have gone on and rated it, and you get in within 500? Okay, within 500, you'll get it correct. And the victory points today are tostones, a fried plantain, delicious treat enjoyed by Puerto Ricans all over the world. So you could earn up to 5 tostones today. Let's see what you got.
And we get some mayo quecho on the side of that, and then we're all set.
Now we're talking.
How many people have rated this game? Correct?
How many ratings for Vantage within 500?
I'm gonna go with
one guess.
I'm gonna go with 1475.
1,475.
Is that a lot?
The answer is 2,000. And so you are just 25 shy of being within 500. No tostones for you. That's it.
I like Maduros better, but that's close. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Me too. I wasn't sure of which. I'm a Maduros person. So in Puerto Rican culture, you either have thicker, sweeter plantains, which are called maduros, or you have tostones, which are more like twice fried, saltier usually.
Yes.
And my mom always made maduros, and that was and I'll be making some this weekend, so it's funny we're talking about that right now. Yeah, for a potluck. Okay. So no dice on Vantage. We're gonna move on to a game that I am obsessed with right now, and that is called Moon Colony Bloodbath. Okay. Have you heard about this one? Yeah, it's the
I have. I've seen quite a few of your posts on this one, Reg, and I've been intrigued by it.
It's very interesting. It's very unique, and the most important thing about it, what got it the hype, is who the designer is, and you just get one guess. Can you name the designer of Moon Colony Bloodbath?
Ooh.
Or if you can't, actually, you know what? If you can't name the designer, what game is the designer famous for? And then I'll still give you the point.
Oh, people are like, kicking their.
Oh man, they're stomping on the brakes in their car.
On the brakes in their car on this one, because it's funny
they're
because
phoning in.
I have a game group of 3 guys. And my one buddy tried this out for the first time last week, and he was telling us what he thought about it. And man,
his eyes are closed. You guys can't see this, but Jazz's eyes are he's just going deep for a brain blast right now.
I'm gonna have to think, just because I'm just gonna be a shot in the dark, legitimately.
Okay.
Because it is a tableau building type engine building game.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand that there is, if I remember correctly, there is this level of trying to not get the negative points, or you want to get the negative points. I forget exactly how it works. I'm trying to think games.
Go for it. Just reach into the ether and just throw something out.
Is this like a Thomas Lehman design? The guy who did
That's a great guess. That's
Res
a great
Arcana?
guess. What if I tell you that the main mechanism of the game is that there is a deck that will be flipping, that we are all building that deck together?
That does no help,
so
Reg. That's no help.
The grandfather of deck builders, his name is Donald X. Vaccarino, and that game that he created was Dominion, and he hasn't made a lot of games since, and so that's why this kind of got on my radar, is that people were hyped about it. I hadn't heard about it until I walked onto Dice Tower West. But okay, sorry, we're playing the game. Okay,
man.
Number 3, 0 for 2 here. It's okay. The listeners love it. All right. This game is Blood Rage, which we talked about before the episode a little bit, because the Valhalla version has been announced.
Yes.
Your thing is there's no wiggle room here, no buffer zone. What year did the original Blood Rage come out, according to BGG?
Okay. So I got into the hobby around 2012. I purchased this game myself in I purchased this game in 2015, I think.
This is some good deduction, people. This is some good deduction, folks. 2015, is that your final answer?
No, I think it came out the year before. I'm going to say 2014.
Should have went with your gut. It's 2015. That's good. I mean, that's so great. This is before my time in the hobby. The first time I sat down and played a hobby board game was 2016. So I missed the Blood Rage train. I cannot wait to play it. It's on my top list. I just posted about this on Instagram, that there's 4 games I really want to play. Blood Rage is one of them. All right.
Can I just say that what threw me off is I think the campaign started for this one, Kickstarter.
Yeah, I know. And that's the problem. As I was like, okay, we'll give you half a tostone for that. Okay. Well, I'll give you a maduro for that. Okay.
I'll take it.
The big thing is, Blood Rage. I'm just going off BGG for all this stuff. Okay, this one you have a little buffer.
Okay.
Bomb Busters. This is 66 mission cooperative game that just won the Spiel des Jahres. Can you guess its BGG weight within 0.5? You have a 0.5 wiggle room here.
I'm gonna say a 2.17.
Wow, that is incredible. The real answer is 1.95. You are correct. Good job.
Okay,
so yeah, and again, all of this is as of August 2025 when we are recording this. Good job.
I'll take it.
All right. I'm sure people would have guessed that there. Good job. So you're at 1.5 points here. All right, and the final one is a party game I've been loving, and that is called Flip 7. And so you're gonna get a buffer zone of 250. Within 250, what is the overall rank of Flip 7 right now?
Ooh.
As of August 21st.
I'm going to say it's fairly high. I believe it's in the top. What's my buffer again?
250. I'm going to give you 250 range here because it's tricky.
Ooh.
I wouldn't know what to guess here, but I think you're locked into the universe now. You got this.
436.
436 plus 250 would be 686, and that is not good enough. It is only 714 ranked, but very close. You're not too far off. Yeah, it's ranked, but I mean, to be in the top 800 or top 750 for a party game that just came out last year, good for the team who made Flip 7 over there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's one that we've played so much in our house, so definitely love that game.
Okay, so as you guys may have heard, we're gonna go on to our main topic.
Yeah, so we're talking about that worth the hype or not, Reg. And like I said, I think we're going to get hate on this one. Well, at least I think I'm going to get hate. But,
let me just say, yeah, if you have any issues, make sure you DM at Lobby of Hobbies on Instagram. That is sending you all your complaints directly there.
So I'm going to start with my number 3, right? This is going to be the one game that I think is very deserving of the buzz. This is a game that came out last year, 2024. It's one that I got a chance to play, and I said, I really enjoyed this game. Let's play it again. I think it plays super fast for a worker placement game. It got a lot of buzz, and I think rightfully so. And this is a 7.7 on the BGG rating. And this is the cheese making game Fromage. They just dropped the new expansion from Formaggio.
It's like a standalone Formaggio.
Yes,
Formaggio.
Formaggio. It was the standalone expansion for this one. It's a standalone game, but also a standalone expansion. Really love this game. Have you played this one, Reg?
I have played Fromage. I talked about it in my Dice Tower West recap video. I did really enjoy that, and I will say I kind of want to own it. I'm not sure. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it, but now I really want the Formaggio, which I would call that an expandalone. When they make it an expansion that also can be a standalone, that's what I would call that.
Yeah, so I played it for the first time at PAX Unplugged, not at PAX Unplugged. Let's call it pre-PAX Unplugged. So the day before the convention, I met up with a couple friends that were flying in from out of town. They had an Airbnb in Philadelphia. I helped supply them with a table to game at their Airbnb. I brought a couple folding tables for them. My buddies Isaac, who runs a channel called Gaming with Sidekicks. My buddy Bob, who is over there at One Board Family. They run 2 awesome channels that you should go follow and check out on Instagram. But my buddy Isaac was a big fan of Fromage. So played this game, set it up. I was like, this is a simultaneous worker placement game. I don't know how this is going to go because I played the other one from Stonemaier Games. Why can't I think of it off the top of my head? It's the standalone from Stonemaier where it was like a worker placement-esque type game. And sometimes,
is it Euphoria? Pendulum?
Pendulum, yes.
Okay,
Pendulum.
I haven't played that one. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So fairly goes well, but that was like a real-time thing. This is more was not real-time, but it's just simultaneous actions. Really enjoyed it because, again, if no one's ever played it, I like the modular setup in the sense that you do have 4 venues or zones on this board, and this board kind of rotates, and you're going to have one section in front of you. You have the festival, the bistro, the fromagerie, or the villas, and each section plays a little bit differently. In the festival, you're going to be trying to place your cheese or your workers that are creating this cheese out on the board, and you're trying to get these adjacency points where, depending on how big you create this adjacency area, you're going to score based off of your biggest area. You have the bistro, which is pretty much creating cheeses on these various different tables. Depending on which tables you create them, how you can kind of combo them or put multiple on a table, you're going to score points based off of that. I know that the fromagerie is about I guess putting cheeses out into a display, and you're going to score based off of the display values and how many you get into that area. And then the villas is like this little area control battle. Who has the most presence in these various areas of this map? So I thought it was really interesting that this worker placement has these like 4 little mini games in there. But what's really cool is I'm a huge fan of Tzolk'in, the Mayan calendar, where you place your worker out on the board, and depending on what spot you place that worker, you may not get this worker available to you next turn. It may take a turn, or it may take 2 or 3, and that is exactly what Fromage does. you have
Formaggio.
you have these workers. You're placing them out onto the board, and you're going to be aging these cheeses for either 1, 2, or 3 months. In essence, 1, 2, or 3 turns. But what's also cool is that you're also having 3 types of cheeses. You have soft cheese, you have hard cheese, and you have blue cheese. And you have these different, order cards that you can, you're trying to fulfill to score points. And depending on how you acquire it's just so much going on in this game. Although the game is so easy, it's not hard to really grasp your head around the turns. But man, this game just plays so fast. I would say within a full player count of 4, you play it within 45 minutes. And you are ready to set it up again. But each of these 4 areas, you have modular, like, fill-in, like, cards that go behind it that change the board state or the board itself on how you're making your placements. So kind of can have, like, I guess I would say ramp up or lessen the complexity level depending on whether you not have depending on
if you have non-gamers,
people who are new to the hobby, have played this game before. But man, the variable setup I think also plays this game well. But not only you have these 4 areas in the middle of the board, you're gaining resources, you're gaining livestock, you're gaining grapes, and you're gaining also other order cards you can use to try and fulfill. But man, the way you acquire these grapes, and depending as you let's call them fruit, and depending on how you use these fruit, you can press them into jam. You can also press them into like just berries or fruited cheese, and there's just like multiplier aspect to this game. So it's like 4 different mini games within this game. You're playing everything going on, acquiring all these resources, but there's also this like point salad type of way of scoring, which, man, it's on BGA. I would say if you've never played this, play it on BGA. It plays really fast. It plays fairly well asynchronous, so you don't have to be sitting there the whole time playing the game. It's a super good, solid game.
Yeah. I'll chime in and just say, just to counter what you just said about Board Game Arena, I learned this game on Board Game Arena, and it really, really bounced off of it. I really bounced off of it. And then I played it in real life at Dallas Tower West, and I was like, oh, I get it now.
I can see that.
Understand. Yeah. So it was interesting. Now playing it on BGA after I've played it in real life, I really enjoy it. So I'll just say, if you have tried it on Board Game Arena, maybe try to give it a chance in real life, because it is great. It's a great implementation, but I think it deserves to be taught in real life, which I'm finding, I think, this is just a side note, I think there's so many games I've learned on BGA that I just didn't understand or didn't get. And then I've tried them in real life and enjoyed them.
I would agree.
So we'll see about that. But yeah, it's cool. I think you got to point out, which Jazz already talked about, but just look, the cheese that goes around and you don't get your worker back until it's facing you.
Yeah,
which is just so, that's so genius. And then the mini games is something that, I didn't know I loved, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh, Imhotep is one of my favorite games.
Yes.
The Phil Walker Harding game, and it has the mini games on each of the landing sites, and that's one of my top 10 games. And so that's what it reminds me the most of. I think Imhotep's, honestly, they're both very streamlined. I think
very
you
much
can't
so
affect people as much in Fromage. So I think maybe Imhotep I'd give it the edge, but I do think Fromage is worth the hype. I didn't like it at first, and I really, really enjoy it. So I'm going to agree with you fully on that one.
Yeah, I'm glad you do agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm nervous about your hate one because I like a lot of popular games. I can't wait to see it. But okay, I'm going to go with mine. This is really easy. I think a lot of folks have talked about this game. I did not get to feature it on my top 50 because I had played it after I did the Pub Meeple. So if you know, I use Pub Meeple to like rank all my games. And it has just shot up. It will be a top 10 game next time I do this. This is a 2023 game called Dune Imperium Uprising. And so that is the reskin by Paul Denon, and Direwolf is the publisher. It has an 8.7 rating on BGG, which is insane. Both Dune Imperium Uprising and regular Dune Imperium are in the top 100. And it is 1 to 6 players, which is really, it's 1 to 4 players. And there is a 6-player mode that you can play 3v3, which I have not experienced. So what is this game? If you know Paul Denon, he made Clank. And so he is a deck building genius, to be honest. And he really does a good job with in my opinion, the graphic design. It's like the same graphic design on both games. So I'm like, I wonder how much hand he had in that. It might be a Direwolf thing. But basically, in this game, they mixed deck building with worker placement, which is why this game gets compared to Lost Ruins of Arnak. I actually don't think they're very similar at all. But what's interesting is when you're playing a worker, you have to match it with the worker space on one of the cards in your deck. So if there's a triangle, a circle, and a pentagon, and then there's this other faction track. If you're a Dune fan, there's the Bene Gesserit track, the Fremen track, the Sardaukar. Every time I do my deep voice, Sardaukar.
I love it.
Every time I play it. But anyway, to play a card down, you have 2 workers. To play your 2 workers, you have to match with the location, right? And then the 3 cards remaining, maybe more, again, a normal deck builder, you start with 5 cards. You reveal those for the bottom half of the cards as a reveal turn to purchase cards and get other things. And so then it's just this really interesting multi-use card thing that the top half of the card is if you place it as a worker, and the bottom half is when you reveal all your cards to buy more cards. It has the most tension in any game I've played. I have been going around like asking gamers like, is that love Dune, that like I do, like, is there any game that does this every single round? I'm like sweating, waiting to see if I'm going to win the combat, if I'm going to get to that worker placement spot that I want to go to. And again, I do love the theme. I just watched the movies. I've only seen the recent Denis Villeneuve movies, both of them. And I just kind of got into the world that way. But Uprising is great. I have not played the original game, to be fair, but I have played it on Tabletop Simulator, and they have made this like concoction of a deck of cards to play with on TTS that is like, there's like Paul Denon's special blend that he's actually like approved, and then the one that's like competitive is like some cards from the base game, some cards from one of the expansions called Ix, some cards from Immortality, some cards from Uprising, some cards from Bloodlines. So they've made this like special deck, getting rid of the cards that suck, like trim the fat. So it's very interesting. I've played with cards from the original game, but I've really only played Uprising and Bloodlines, which is the most recent expansion, which I love. I could go on and on, but the game is just awesome. And putting sandwords on the map and the player asymmetry, I understand why this game is so loved. There's a lot of big, heavy games that I kind of want to get to that have tension, like Blood Rage, which we talked about in last episode. I've never played Blood Rage, and I think I will love it because I love this game. But I still have yet, for me personally, found a game that gives me all the things that Dune Imperium Uprising does. Although I have games higher than it on my personal list, it just does such a unique thing with like tension and thinkiness and planning and strategy. So Dune Imperium Uprising.
I'm glad you bring this one up because I love Dune Imperium.
Yeah.
I've played it. I've played it just the base game. I've played it with all the combinations of the expansions. Although I own Bloodlines, I haven't mixed that in there. I actually own Uprising, but I have not yet played Uprising. And I know a lot of people, for me, it's one of those things like, I love Imperium so much.
And you invested in it. You invested in the original.
Yes.
Like, yeah, should we pause real quick? We should say, like, this is a very weird thing that this company did. Basically, what they did was make a game in 2020, Dune Imperium.
Yeah.
Then they kind of came out with another game that's the same game. So Uprising is basically the same game with some new cards, with some new characters. And then the big difference was how the worms worked, I believe. And for me, the big difference is the spies.
Okay.
And so they added these spies that allow you to go to worker placement spots that are blocked. It's kind of almost like a grande worker in viticulture. Okay. And also, if you recall that spy, when you go to that place, you can draw a card if you're not using it to go where someone already is. So I think I would really miss the spies if I went back to the original game, which is why I don't have an interest in going back to the 2020 version because I never played it. But that's interesting. I just, it's weird. They put consumers in a weird spot. Like the Bloodlines expansion has the rules for Uprising or for the Bloodlines expansion. Then it says, if you're integrating this with Uprising, do this. If you're integrating it with regular Dune Imperium, do this. If you're integrating it with Immortality, do this. So it's like they're giving themselves so much more work by having a 1.0 and a 1.5 version of the game. Very strange, but I love Uprising. So anyway, sorry, continue.
No,
but
it's interesting because like that, I think you hit it on the nail is like when publishers have done this, right, where they've created a game, they've come out with something different that's so similar, but yet so different. And it's like, for people from the consumer's perspective, like, which one do I get? Which one do I need to? Do I need to play both of them? Do I need to own both of them? Like, for me, it was one of those where, like, I loved original Dune Imperium so much. I was like, okay, it's a no-brainer for Uprising. And not for nothing, I'm a little afraid to play Uprising. It's like, okay, what am I going to do with my Dune Imperium? What expansions do I keep? Do I keep them all? So, I've gone through wanting to play this with my game group, but I'm also trying to figure out, because we've played it with all the other expansions, trying to figure out what combination is the right combination to play this with. And I know it's on Reddit, it's on BGG, everywhere. It's like, okay, put it with this, and this, and you'll have the best experience.
There's entire Discords, entire YouTube channels talking about this stuff.
And I think that's for me where I want to find. I want to find what's the right combination, because then it'll like, okay, I'll keep all of this stuff then, and then I'll kind of get rid of the other stuff. But yeah, I kind of see myself leaning towards Uprising from everything that I read about it. So I'm excited, and I'm hearing you talk about it, especially the spies and being able, that whole grande worker and viticulture, something that I love. So being able to kind of sneak in on the spot that I was blocked out of or iced out of in Imperium is one thing that I think I'd be excited to check out.
What's nice is if you swap to regular, if you just swap to Uprising, you can keep all the expansions. And I haven't played all of them, but I trust a few people online. I don't need to like shout out a bunch of people, but what I've heard most recently is like, if you have Uprising plus Ix plus Bloodlines, that's kind of like the pinnacle of the game right now.
Okay.
Email us, send your comments to Lobby of Hobbies at Lobby of Hobbies on Instagram if you disagree. If you agree, send them to Rolling Reggie on Instagram. Okay, speaking of, let's go for our one not hype. I'm going to be waiting it with bated breath here for your hype not.
Okay, so my hype not. Okay, let's just preface this. This game is in the top 100. Okay, let me give you it's in the top 50. It's also in the top 25. It's in the top 20. It's in the top 15 overall on BGG. And this is not the granddaddy, but it's its little baby brother. This is Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Okay.
Now, I have not played this, so I have no horse in this race. So go for it.
So let me first preface this, listeners. I'm not a hater of Gloomhaven or Frosthaven or Jaws of the Lion. In fact, I've owned the original Gloomhaven, and it was just too big and massive for me to kind of get my own copy out. I played a buddy's copy, and I was like, oh, okay, this is okay. This is good, but I just couldn't see myself setting everything up every time. So they came out with Jaws of the Lion, and I said, oh, this is perfect. It has the books, the maps, everything set up. It's just quick setup and breakdown. I have no problem. So I introduced this to my brothers and my brother's best friend, who they're not really board gamers. They're video gamers, but the theme of this really just something that they gravitated to. And we decided we're going to set out, we're going to start this campaign, we're going to make it through, and we were committed. And we started playing this weekly. I mean, we were playing sessions after sessions for about a good 2.5, 3 months. And while I played it, I enjoyed my experience with the people at the table. I was just like, what's the big hype about? Like, it's okay, it's decent, but it didn't like leave me wanting more, right? And I think, but I'll also preface this with, that happens to me a lot with dungeon crawler type, campaign-esque games, which I'm always very leery to add them to my collection. Although my favorite dungeon crawler game is Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. I love it. Love the game. Maybe it's the theme, but you have those tense turns, things like that. But just for Jaws of the Lion, I just didn't get it. It just, like, for me, the card play was good. It was. A lot of people say the card play is what's intuitive. The top action, then the bottom action of another card, things like that. But I don't know. Cephalofair Games, they're doing their thing, right? Isaac Childress is a mastermind to be able to come up with this world and fit as much as he does into this massive world of a game. So I give all the credit for the people that love it. Again, I have no hate towards this game at all. It just doesn't do it for me. It doesn't get me going. The world itself didn't like, oh, I need to know more about this. I need to playing for the storyline. For me, I was just, okay, it's another scenario. Let's just beat it. We beat it. All right, we figured out the puzzle behind this, and let's get on to the next one. So the experience there, but like those those turns where they kind of get you going. Okay, for Mansions of Madness, I don't know. It's one of those things that I'm just like itching for that die roll. Is that die roll going to be there? Maybe it's the fact that this game doesn't have the die roll. It's just a strategic portion of trying to min-max your card play. So for me, it's like, okay, once we min-max, we figure out what the min-maxing of the card play is. We can figure this scenario out. It's like, okay, we didn't get past this this scenario. All right, now we know. All right, let's replay this. All right. If you go this route, I'll go this route. We kind of can talk everything out, and then we were able to figure out that scenario, get past it. But for me, maybe it's the dungeon crawlers that have a little bit of that that luck, that push your luck with the dice rolls that really get me going, because you cheer when the roll goes in your favor, and everybody's screaming their heads off when it doesn't.
Yeah,
right?
it's so interesting because the OG dungeon crawler RPG is like D&D, and you kind of, I mean, again, it's not always a dungeon crawler, but that's what I think of when I think of dungeon crawling and big D20 rolls.
Correct.
And I think the mechanisms are really interesting in Gloomhaven. I've only played Buttons and Bugs. Have you played that one?
No, I haven't. And maybe it's because of
it's
my lack of love for the other ones that it's just, I have no interest in wanting to try it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's interesting. I have not played any of them. If you follow my channel, if you know my top games, like I just talked about Dune Imperium Uprising, it's legitimately like the cap for me in terms of time to sit down too. Like I really love an hour-long game, 45-minute long game. I love a 45-minute podcast, Board States Ep.2. But I really, a 2.5-hour game, like one I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and the one I just talked about, these are kind of the cap for me in my duration. So I'm already biased towards it. Some people want to sit down and play that Gloomhaven, that big Frosthaven campaign, and just do it every week. It's a little much for me. So I haven't tried it, but I'm assuming I would agree with you. I just think the card play is so clever regardless. It's the same thing in the Jaws of the Lion, right?
Agreed, yes.
You got to give them respect for that. But it is, it's not necessarily my genre.
No, I hear you. So what about yours, Reg? You talk about
All right.
What I'm going to get hate for. What about you?
Here's my not, and I was actually, while you're talking, I had to go back into some Discord chats where I was talking about this, and people were like agreeing with me or disagreeing with me. This is a 2023 design that is a theme that I am known for. I am the biggest nature lover on Earth, and the name of the game is Earth. That is designed by Maxime Tardif, 1 to 5 players. By Inside Up Games, has a 7.6. But yeah, we did like 2018 or newer, 7.5 or higher. So this one just made the cut of hype. But I honestly, I've gotten to a petty level with this game.
Okay.
Where like I'm praying for its downfall because I've just said I don't like it, and I really think in terms of buzz, there's games that are still rising on things like BGG Hotness that are being talked about on Instagram, in the Discords that I'm in. And this one, I think, had a lot of buzz at the beginning, and I think it's all fallen down because I think what people have found that I found originally, and again, people can love whatever they want. People love this game. It actually is a very cool game. I love that it's nature themed. I love that it talks about composting. Let me just praise the art and the mechanics, or not the art and the mechanics, not the mechanics, art and the components. I think the components are great also. I think it's really, really cool looking at the table. I've seen it. The big thing for me is it's too much. There's too much going on. I think there has been a trend in board games, and I think Earth is kind of just indicative of this, that you want to have simultaneous play, which again, Fromage is a great example of like, I like how Fromage plays. They want simultaneous play, and you just want as much combos as you can have. And so I'll just bring up Wingspan. I think we're going to have to do a timer. People who are listening, just how many times I'm going to bring up Wingspan? If I've already 2 for 2 episode, if I bring it up every episode, that'll be hilarious. But, Wingspan gets a lot of flack, but I love being able to sit and think about my turn between turns. And the thing about Earth is what makes it great is someone picks an action and everybody follows, so you're doing everything simultaneously. But I just like seeing what other people are doing, and I just think there's really no way to do that when you have to trigger 6 brown cards because I chose the brown action. And then it just breaks my brain. We talked about this with some other games as well, but it is just a busy, busy game. And there are other ones that are simultaneous, like Fromage. There are other games that have the tableau building with nature, like Wingspan. There are other games with the follow action, like Puerto Rico 1897, that I would prefer to play than this one. So that is why Earth is it's just a little bit too much for me. I'm very curious to see where it will land, in like a year from now. It's been 2 years and it's still number 201. So it's doing well. I could very much be in the minority. People love it, but it is a little much for me. Earth.
Yeah, this one for me, I did back this one. I did own it. I did cull it, and it was one of those that I think, like you,
called it. That's proof. That just means I'm right.
I think I liked what it was doing, the follow action, the tableau building, but for some reason I was like you. It felt like there was just too much going on. Well, I think it all worked, but it was like, okay, now I've got to add these cubes on the board. Now I got to build these little trees or whatever, the different types of
it was trees, or it was tree plants or logs.
Then you have that central board that you're trying to race to kind of figure out who's going to score based off of the 4 different or 5, maybe 6 different things that are out there, the community goals or objectives. It was just too much for me to think about. So it's one of those like, okay, if I'll play it, it's one of those where if someone recommends it, yes, I'll play it because I think it does what it does well, but then it's just too much. I know a lot of time when it came out, people were like, oh, this is going to take down like terraforming Mars and things like that because of the tableau building nature and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't hate the pick. It's one of them, Yeah.
You can support the pick. You can support the pick.
I support it. Hey, listen, I
let's
called
get
it,
back
right?
to the positivity. Yeah, you called it. I mean, you're on my side here. All right, so the final hype for you, worth the hype, Jazz. Go for it.
Final worth the hype. This is a 2024 technically. Is it a 2024? I know. Yes, I would say it's a 2024. It also is a game that I think a lot of people are going to be playing this year. Once they figure out
recently.
Super recent 2024 design. I had a chance of covering this during their crowdfunding campaign back on GameFound that also crowdfunded as well on Kickstarter, and this is none other than the 2025 Kenner Spiel des Jahres winner, Endeavor Deep Sea.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous.
Burnt Island Games.
Yeah, go for it.
And
I cannot
Grand
wait to play
Gamers
this.
Guild designers Carl de Vizier and Jarrett Gray. Now, I was a big fan when I was introduced to Endeavor Age of Sail, and I know the theme didn't sit well with people. Some people were against the theme. I personally think yes, it had this slave mechanic built into the theme. I think historically they did the right thing by addressing it in the rule book, addressing how the game you take this negative kind of impact by deciding to take the slaves on your ships and whatnot, so it could detrimentally hurt your overall end game. But when they took this road, when they said Endeavor Deep Sea and the modular setup, I think for me was the big game changer. Every game is different. But then when they told me it's going to have some co-op, it's going to have solo, it blew my mind. I remember the first time they said, hey, Jazz, do you want to try this on Tabletop Simulator? And I don't like Tabletop Simulator. I'm not a big fan of learning games there. The first word, I spoke to Sean over at Burnt Island Games when he introduced it. I says, this is a banger. That was my word. You probably go back to the crowdfunding campaign and you'll see my quote on there. It's a banger. It was
wow.
Was
this? Do you think this was way before 2024? Was this like
I played?
A year? What do you
I played it in 2022. I think 2022, 2023 when I first played it. And man, it's just so good. the tech track that you're working up. You're working up 4 different tech tracks: this reputation track, an inspiration track, coordination track, and then there's this ingenuity track. And each one allows you to do something different. You're going to be hiring what they call specialists, right? And you have these junior, senior specialists. You start off on the junior side, and you're going to be hiring each round. You're going to be hiring a specialist, and each specialist is going to give you opportunities to do various different actions, like dive, to write journals, to do conservation efforts. But man, there's so much going on. The game starts off very slow, in the sense of, not like slow as in I'm bored, slow as in it really ramps up the complexity, or let's say the actions, because actions start chaining later on in the game. So this is one of those, while for a complexity standpoint, it sits under, I think BGG right now has it as a 2.9. I think that's a good sweet spot, because it's not too complex, but it's also not just too simple. But turn 1, you're like, oh, I do this? That's okay, I get this. I have these actions available to me. I'll do that. I'll move around the board a little bit. And by turn 3, you're like, oh, I can do this, and now I can do that. And you're building this engine and seeing how it works. But that what they call this impact board, where you can acquire these little tokens that you place on this impact board. It's almost like you're all working to conserve the ocean together. Although, again, if you're playing it competitively, but you're all going to be working your way to scoring these points. And man, the turns just become so combo-y. I just love it. I've played it at 2-player, I've played it at 3, I've played it at 4, I've played it at 5, I haven't played it solo, I've played it co-op, and I've played it competitively.
Okay, which one do you prefer between co-op and competitive?
I'm a competitive gamer personally, although I don't win all the time. But man, I'll say that the co-op is right there. It's right there. So this is one, depending on the type of gamer you are, whether you're a co-op person, a competitive person, or a solo gamer, you should just add this to your collection. It's 8.2. It won the Kenner Spiel. It's for good reason. What they're doing over there at Burnt Island and the games that they're putting through, I just can't believe it. They took an already great game in Endeavor Age of Sail and made it even better, and I didn't think that was even possible.
Wow, that's so interesting. It's been very much on my list. It was on my list before the Kenner nomination, but I just, again, just for people to get to know us, it's only episode 2, there's nothing more indicative of a game I will love than it winning the Kenner Spiel nominee. It's so weird. That's my weight of game. Wingspan, Challengers. Of course, I can't think of them now. They're all blanking out of my brain. I want to go try Broom Service. I think I would like that.
Broom Service is great.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, I'm missing them all. Seven Wonders is a Kenner Spiel. I can't think of them all right now, but every Kenner Spiel game I have played, I have enjoyed. Oh, Living Forest. I love Living Forest. And so I use these awards as like a recommendation. Like I should go check these games out. This year, Endeavor Deep Sea and Loot was the one that it beat. And Loot is a game I love right now. And so I think I will love Endeavor Deep Sea. I read the little segment on slavery, and I'll just say I'm very happy that they changed the theme. It does look like they went into it with really good what's the word I'm looking for? With really good intentions here.
Definitely.
And I'm just glad that they're just like, you know what? Let's not even touch on it. Let's just move on from it. But if I do encourage you to go look back and read in the rule book, anybody listening, about Age of Sail, which is interesting. But it's kind of the Puerto Rico 1897 situation that we've talked about too. It's like, I just love the new version so much that I'm just like, I'm happy. Some people, and again, I'm not going to speak for all of my people here, but a lot of people are just like, we don't want to talk about or touch on any of these dark history things in our simulations or in our games or in our movies. Sometimes people just want to watch something that's enjoyable and have a fun, light theme. It doesn't mean that these things need to be absolutely completely removed, like this one, like Age of Sail. But when you can change it to a theme that is completely unproblematic, I think you should. And I'm very glad that they did, and I cannot wait to try this one. It is number 1 on my list. I have I don't have a close friend nearby that doesn't live across the country like Jazz that can show me this one. All right, my number three, or my other hype or not, will come at no surprise. This is the other highly beloved nature themed game that I also subscribe to, and that is Ark Nova. That is a Matthias Wigge, which was his like debut game. It says 2021, but it did not come to the US until 2022, so I'll just point that out. It is a 1 to 4 player game from Capstone Games and is rated an 8.5 currently, and I think like number 3 right now in BGG, which is crazy. And another big thing right now is that the sequel to the game is called Sanctuary, and that is coming very soon. It's got a little bit of buzz. I think it's going to be an Essen release, so we'll talk about that on a future episode. Okay, so what is Ark Nova? A lot of people will call it an engine building game, and I've played it a lot. It's not that much engine building. It's very much an action selection game where you'll be tableau building, so you'll be building out all these animals into your zoo, but in order to play them into your zoo, you also have to do some polyomino, or it's really hex grid is what you're putting on your player board as well. I love it. I love it at all player counts, but I do think 2 is the best player count because it's more of a race game than it is an engine building game. If you've tried it and you went into it thinking like, I got to get all these tags and I got to get all these big triggers, it's much more about racing for appeal and conservation, especially. There's 2 tracks, which it stole from other games. Jazz, you talked about this last episode about, love when a game puts together all these mechanisms into a beautiful, like, melting pot, And
Yes.
This game is like the epitome of that, which is also what, again, people will levy against it. They'll say, there's nothing new in this game. I was reading a bunch of the negative reviews if you go back and watch the episode or listen to episode 1 of it just recently. So what's interesting about it for me is I didn't see any of these games. I never played Through the Ages. I didn't play a ton of Terraform Mars, even though I did. But this is my ideal game in that big deck energy space. The BDE games is what they'll call them. Earth would also be one of those, a game with a big deck of cards. Ark Nova is my preferred one, which is why I want to talk about it. But for me, what I love about it is the tactical puzzle. There's these 5 action selection cards. When you select one of them at like level 5, it's the most powerful it is. After you use that card, you slide it down to 1 and the other cards go up. And so there's this awesome puzzle of like, I need my association action to be at the 5 slot so that I can do exactly what I want to do. So I need to plan my next few turns ahead. It's not a game where you're doing strategy across the whole game. You don't really know when the round is going to end. There's these breaks that you can trigger that I won't go into right now, but also the market of the animals that come out and the cards that come out are going to change each round. So you actually have to pivot and just be nimble in this game. And I like that tactical puzzle. I like being able to say, okay, I'm going to plan 3 to 4 turns ahead, but that's about it. And that is just what I need in a 2-hour plus game. I mean, it really is a long, thinky game, and the game ends when those 2 tracks cross, which is what I forgot to mention. That comes from Through the Ages as well. And that is just such a special little mechanic that it just puts it all together with this great theme that I love of like animal conservation, literally my favorite theme on Earth. So Ark Nova, I think, is the game that is worth it. If you don't like it, I totally understand. It's definitely more of a multiplayer solitaire game. I think it's less so than people give it credit for. Like I said, there's a lot more of racing and tension if you're playing it at a high level. But still, like if you want a Blood Rage type, Dune Imperium type, a lot of more conflict and tension, it doesn't have a ton of that. And yet it's still one of my favorite games of all time, Ark Nova.
Yeah, this is one that I had in my collection at one point, and I did get rid of it only because a guy in my game group did have it. So I've played it on BGA once or twice, I think. Never played the physical copy of it. To be honest, I couldn't even count my play on BGA. I think last episode I said I haven't played this game. I forgot that I have played it, but it was on BGA. It just didn't click with me again because I'm one of those, sometimes I like to play a game first in person before I can really get it.
There's a lot going on too.
And yes, there is a lot going on. It was one of those, I think, where I was just like clicking buttons and figuring out what it was on BGA. But the more and more that I see this, the more that I'm super intrigued to play it. Also, the new one, Sanctuary, I'm very, I think that's one that I might add to my collection. I have seen how it's played, so We'll see. I know I'll get this eventually to the table, probably in the near future. I know my game group has been talking about getting this one to the table in the coming weeks. So I'm excited.
How many players do you think? I would really recommend like 3 players. I think 3 is like the sweet spot.
Yeah,
that's the problem. If you're playing
our
with
game
more,
group is 3. So
yeah. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. It's great. Again, like I said, you don't have to love it. It's all good for people not to. But it's just, it really, every time I play it, I enjoy it. And I talked about it in my top 10 board games of all time. And it was actually the only game I didn't own because one of my good friends has it and I've played it a lot on Board Game Arena. And it is an excellent implementation on Board Game Arena. But my mother, my lovely mother, watched that video and sent me a copy of Arcanova because she said, that was the one game you said you didn't have. It was just so awesome. So my mom got me a copy and I've actually played it multiple times now. I want to play it solo. People really like it solo. So, yep, Arc Nova. All right. Did you do your third? Oh my gosh, I've lost track of where we're at.
No, you did. I have done my third. So we're heading over to our segment called In La Mesa, which is where we talk about just games that have hit our table. Those first impressions. We're going to give you kind of what's been sitting well or not so well with us with these games. So Reggie, did you want to go or you want me to go on this?
I'll go first. Yeah, why not? And you can close this out and give us a sign off after here. So this is a game I got to give a shout out to my buddy Co-Warner Games over on Instagram. He lives in the same town as me here in Portland, Oregon. And he invited me over and we played some 3-player games with his lovely girlfriend. And we played a Stefan Feld game called Carpe Diem. So people have seen this on my Instagram story. I just got this in like very recently. It's a 2018 game published by Aaliyah and it's 2 to 4 players. The big thing though is that the 2018 version that came out had a weird production issue about the colors were way too similar. And so you really want to get the 2021 version. I'm just going to say this is not a shout out to any company or anything, but I did get mine from Game Nerds for like very, very affordable here in the US. So I was very happy about that. Okay, so what are the big mechanics in this game? It's a variable setup game, which again, we really like, just switching things up every single time you play. It has open drafting and it has tile placement. These are the big 3 things that you're doing, but you're moving around in this little central circle here. Thematically, we're like in Rome in the year 1 BC, and we're trying to help build up our little town here. And so you move around this, it's almost like a rondel, but it's not. It's just a circle where you can go 1 space adjacent to your right or left and draft the tile, or you can spend these bread tokens to go to any other space on the tile. You draft 1 tile, you put it on your personal player board. All of these tiles have buildings. They have these little small 1-tile ones, and they have these landscapes, which are like a pond or a vineyard or a chicken coop or whatever. And when you put them together, you get the resources. So the vineyard gives you grapes, the garden gives you herbs, the pond gives you fish, etc. And the other buildings will trigger some ability or give you some gold or give you some bread. There's even some cards that have some endgame scoring that's just personal to you. So just you're playing around on this little board. You have to match like with like. You have to put grass with grass, a building with a building. And you can cover up these little spaces that have a writ token, kind of like a little scroll, and that bumps you up on this scroll track. Stefan Feld, I didn't mention this, he's very famous for Castles of Burgundy, and I've played that first. Yeah, so this is a big element from Castles of Burgundy, is that the turn order is based on these scrolls that you get. And if your disc is on top of the same person, if you're the second person to get to the 3rd spot, you're going to be on top of that disc, and that means you have first choice at the end of the round. So that's how he does turn order. And then it's very much point salady as well. There's a lot of different ways to score points. But the only thing I'm going to talk about here, and again, I've only played this game 1 time and I bought it immediately. Like I was smitten and blown away by this game the first play. And it's for this one thing, the piece de resistance, is that it is the scoring mechanism. Each round, there are these cards. It's a little tough to see. I hope you can look it up here on BGG while you're listening, but it's a scoring mechanism that all these different scoring cards, there's 4 different decks of them and they're randomized every game and they come out in a display and they have semicircles on the side and they overlap. And at the end of the round, the person with the highest turn order is going to place their disc between 2 of the scoring cards. And then they will score both of those scoring cards if they can, based on their resources, based on the things they've gathered from the drafting phase. And so you block this spot, you score both sides. If you can't score one of the two sides, you have to pay victory points, 4 victory points. And the best part is now that is blocked and we go into round 2. And then so that every single combination of 2 scoring cards can only be scored once per game, and it is blocked by whoever it is, even if it's yourself. You can't just do that same thing over. So you got to go for a different thing. So if I went for the fish and herb 2 spots right there, then maybe I could go for chimneys or I could go for gold buildings. And it is just this awesome little tactical puzzle when it comes to that. But that scoring mechanism, I want to see it in so many games. It's so genius. I love that if you can't get it, you have to pay victory points. But you might want to block it because, it's 7 points per 2 grapes. And I know that Colin over there has 8 grapes. So he's going to score 28 points. So I actually am going to take a -4 point thing to block him from getting there. And the only way I got to take that scoring round is because I had higher turn order than him. It's just so great. There's so many cool things. I need to play it more. I'm going to be honest. I'm very much like in the honeymoon phase with this game right now, as you can tell. But the one other thing is it comes with these scoring victory point cards, and they're hideous. And we played with iron clays, and we have to shout out our boy Daniel at the game table is the one who I think told Colin to do that, and then he showed me that, and then I bought iron clays as well. So now I have iron clays for all my games, which I'm very excited to use them with Arc Nova, for example, which has terrible money. I'm going to use it with Arc Nova, and Pan Am are the 2 I'm most excited to use those with because they have terrible money. But regardless, Carpe Diem. It's great. I am waiting for the perfect day. I want to catch the queen on like that day, that golden day where she's like, I want to play a game. I'm ready to learn a game. I'm not going to teach this to her until like she's in the perfect mood, because I really, truly think this could be our like go-to heavy game. And it's 45 minutes. It's like a 2.6. It's a very light game for gamers, but I think it will be that perfect, medium weight game for my wife and I.
I think it will be.
Diem.
I was in the same boat with you. I did used to own this. I owned the old school, like the 2018 version of it. But it was one of those where I played it solo. I kind of like two-handed a little bit when I first learned it for myself. And definitely, it was my first Feld game that I ever played. Although I still owned the original Castles of Burgundy at the time. It was one of those, the tile laying element, what I thought was something that my wife would be interested in. And then I was like, I think the color thing is just going to really mess everything up. So I got rid of it, and I just never picked up the additional, the newer version. But this is one that I agree. I think it flies under the radar. Not many people know about this one. It gets overtaken, of course, by Castles of Burgundy. Honestly, rightfully so. I do love Castles of Burgundy. But I think this is right there. I know I've been playing a lot of Feld games recently with my game group.
What are some other ones? Yeah, can you throw some out?
I've played most recently Rum and Pirates. I've played In the Year of the Dragon. We've played I know we're working on playing the new version of Macau. What's that? Amsterdam is one that we're trying to kind of get to the table. We've played Bora Bora recently.
Wow, yeah. I now, this game has made me say, like, I am going to give some more, because I love Castle of Burgundy. It's a top 10 game for me too. But I'm like, maybe I should give some other Feld games a chance. And Colin, my buddy, has Bonfire and Civolution like on deck. He says those are the 2 next ones. So we're going to try those 2 next.
Yeah, Civolution is one I want to check out. So let's see. Yeah. My game that I've played this game once, and this is, I think we just talked about it earlier in this episode, and it was part of your mini game, and that is Stonemeyer's 2025 release, open world exploration, Vantage. Now,
wow, my jaw's on the floor. I did not know you've been. You did send me a picture, but Vantage. Okay, I can't wait. I'm all ears. So
Vantage is one that kind of intrigued me just by this open world element, right? Coming from this video game, background when I was a kid and a teenager, just playing video games, just exploring the world, to kind of figuring out what you can do. I was like, how is that going to really be implemented into a board game? So my one buddy had a copy. He came over for a game day. Because a couple buddies that actually live about an hour and a half north of me. So we were talking about, finally, when can we get together? And one was like, I'm going to bring Vantage. I'm going to teach you guys this because I've played it with my son. He's going off to college. We wanted to have this experience together, and man, we were blown away by it. So I'm just sitting there. Okay, what do I do? So pretty much on your turn, everybody has your own like asymmetric character, I would say in essence, and you're supposed to like dropped off onto this planet, and you're dropped off into these different spots, and you're given this card that kind of just is a scene, and you're looking at the scenario, and you kind of are trying to figure out what's on this card. You can describe the card and what you see, and it's pretty much like in essence, I would call like a choose your own adventure. Like, what are you going to do at this location? Are you going to do the red action, the blue action, the green action? And it'll tell you, you might have to search here, you might have to hunt here, and every card's going to be a little bit different, and you just, depending on what your character might be a little bit better at hunting, and that's not in essence because they have their asymmetric power, but just because you were given more tokens that will help you overcome those types of encounters throughout the game. But man, like I didn't know what I was going to get into with this game. I didn't know how it was going to feel. I honestly had very subpar feelings going into this. But my buddy went to play.
You didn't have high expectations at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Again, remember we spoke about me not being big on like dungeon crawling type games, things like that, these massive games sometimes that have so much going on that I need it to really just, so I went in with low expectations. But man, the game was easy. It's not overly complicated. It's like, okay, choose this, choose that. You're building this story, and it's okay, what do you want to do on your turn? Okay, I want to do the spy action. So I'm going to do the spy action. We're going to input that into we use like a little app, or it's like a web-based app that kind of has the rulebook into it, or you can just look through the rulebook and it tells you. Someone reads it.
You could look through the like 7 rulebooks, right?
Yeah.
Like every single color has a different book.
Has its
I
own
did get
book.
to hold these, and I was like,
but
oh my
what's
gosh.
pretty cool though about this is that you can have this website. My buddy had sent it, and it kind of takes you to it, and you just input your card selection, what color, the action you're doing, and it reads it reads what's going to happen. So you decide what you're going to do, and you're going to like roll your test, and it might be a test of like 6. So you have to overcome rolling 6 dice that could potentially give you these negative outcomes. And what's cool though is your partners can pay these tokens for you to roll less dice. So if they have the blue token, you chose the blue action, now you're rolling only 3 of those dice because 3 of your buddies chipped in. And then you look at your die roll, and you might have ways to mitigate the die roll on your player board, but based on what you roll, you can either pretty much surpass or overcome the event, or you might have to lose that specific trait, and you'll go down, and your character, we don't know what happens if you die. I don't know what happens because we never died. But the idea is, if you have a negative outcome, everybody's player board has spots to like take on those negative effects, so it doesn't harm anyone. But man, the exploration and going through, and you really are trying to figure out what you need to do, and you have this centralized goal that everybody's trying to reach. Ours, I won't spoil it too much, but we had to find a shelter. That was our role. Find a shelter. And how we're going to find the shelter, we don't know. We're just exploring the world in all these different parts of this planet and this land. But man, looking at maps and trying to figure out where you are on these maps, and seeing how there's like these Easter eggs on these cards, and there's little icons on the cards that you'll find later on this map that you look at, and you're trying to talk about it, puzzle it all together, thinking about, okay, I saw this, and now I got to like head this way when I decide what I'm going to do on my next card. Every time I played it, I said, wow, where was Jamie's mind when he was designing this game?
I know,
because it was,
wow.
How did he think of this? And he's thinking of, I heard I don't know how many years he's been working on this game. I will tell you that
8 years. It's basically right. Yeah. Did you hear? It's 8 years, and it was right when he played Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. He said, I want to make a board game like this. And he started. And that came out like 2017. It's literally been exactly 8 years that he in the making.
And I will tell you that as I was there playing the game, I opened up my email and I sent Jamie an email, and I said, Jamie, I don't know where your mind was when you were creating this, but you've done something incredible that I am just enamored with. This is the one game that probably be the first game that I will sit down there and solo just to explore. And Breath of the Wild, I recently started playing it about a month ago. And yes.
Oh wow.
Now I didn't know that about
now
it.
You see the inspiration. Yeah, he said that for sure. And I am like, I want to be clear that I am a Stone Meyer fan. Like, I just bought Stamp Swap just with my own money recently. I've got a review copy coming of a different game that I'll talk about later. But like, I've always been a fan. Wingspan and Viticulture are two of my favorite games of all time. And so I'll just say a quick little inside joke between me and my friends Kenan and Alba, who have an amazing podcast called Punchboard Cathedral, is that I refer to Jamie Stagmeyer as my close personal friend, Jay Stag, because he commented on my top 10 video, like, thanks for loving Wingspan and Viticulture. I'm like, yeah. But I have not tried Viticulture or Vantage. Oh my gosh. I have not tried Vantage. And my buddy showed it to me. We sat down for like 15 minutes and I looked through the books without trying to spoil things. And it's just immense. I actually went into it with a little bit of trepidation because, he was kind of, and again, you have to market and sell things, but his marketing was like, this is the most ambitious game ever. Like, nobody's ever done this. And it takes 3 minutes to set up. And then you just get going. And it's just like, how is this going to work? So I've gone into it I will go into it with a little bit of hesitation, but I truly think what you just said about like Easter eggs on the cards and stuff like has me so intrigued. So I really can't wait to try it out. I'm glad you liked it, especially hearing you didn't like Gloomhaven that much and you like this, like that makes me really intrigued to play. And so my biggest follow-up question though is, and I know we're running low on time here, is, how did you decide to end every time? If you played it multiple times, like, I know that's kind of it, is like, there's not really a clear, like, we're done. You can just stop playing whenever you want.
Correct.
So how did you guys handle that?
Well, we achieved our end goal, which was we found the shelter that we needed to find, and again, how you go about that, it's funny because you're seeing things come to the light and you're like, okay, if I do this, I think it's going to get me to my goal, but it may not, and you might just run into a dead end. So we just made decisions based off of what we thought, and we were looking at our time and we were like, we might have to just wrap this up because we, this is hitting our end. And look, 15 minutes later we got there. But it's very I it's not for everyone. I will say that it is not for everyone. I honestly didn't think it was going to be for me. I was just going to enjoy the experience with my fellow gamers, but yeah, I am looking forward to getting a chance to play this again. I don't have it in my collection, but it is one that I want to see what this world is all about, because yes, it's there. So
wow, that's awesome.
So I think that brings us to the end of our episode, Reggie. It's been great. Love talking games with you. As always.
Yeah, late at night, we're just out here staying up to the wee hours of the night talking games. I hope you're enjoying. We'll thank you so much for listening, and tell your friends. We're gonna keep recording, keep editing, and and make sure you reach out to us on social media. We're both on Instagram and Blue Sky and all of that at Lobby of Hobbies and Rolling Reggie, as well as we have an email address, boardstatespod@gmail.com. That is board as in BOARD. We're not boring bored. We're board states. Take us away, Jazz.
Yes, as Reggie said, we are Board States Podcast. You can email us at boardstatespod@gmail.com. Why? Because we are the best hobby in the world here. And Board States, why? It's where friends become rivals and board states decide the outcome. But we will catch you guys on the next episode, and thanks for being with us. We'll see you later.
See ya.